up? Thank you guys for coming here on what is it, Wednesday night?
Yeah, Wednesday.
On Wednesday night, we appreciate your time.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go ahead and let my guy introduce himself.
All right. So, good evening once again, everyone. Thanks for coming out. My name is Joshua Shields, and I'm one half of the Corporate Smack podcast. There's the handle. If anyone's wondering where you can find us, that's our Instagram, and then we're also on SoundCloud and Apple Podcast app. Just to give a little background about myself, I'm a compliance specialist at PNC Wealth Management. As far as school, I got my bachelor's in business education at North Carolina A&T State University, and then I went on to get my MBA from Wilmington University here in Delaware. I also have my Delaware life insurance license, and I'm currently studying for my CFP, Certified Financial Planner designation.
Okay, when you plan to sit for that?
Plan to sit for it
No pressure.
probably the latter part of 2019. Takes quite a amount of studying. It's almost like another degree, honestly. 7 courses involved with it. Then you have to pass the 7 classes. Then you sit for the actual board exam. So it's quite extensive stuff. So that's a little background about me. Hand over to Toby.
Nice. So everybody calls me Toby. My full name is Tabechi Chuku. It's really long, but I always try to put it out there because, yeah, Nigerian. Anybody Nigerian here? Hey, my guy, my sister. Okay, all right. So yeah, I'm Nigerian. I always put that out there. But like I said, everybody calls me Toby. Now I am also a co-host of Corporate Coke and Snack. A little bit about myself. I graduated in 2012 from the University of Maryland, Baltimore County. It's a real small school, but we went to the NCAA tournament and we knocked out. Who we knocked out?
Virginia?
Virginia? Yeah, the number 1 seed. So shout out to my alma mater. I did financial economics, and then I went on to the Loyola Maryland University. I got my master's in finance, and now I work in the private sector in finance. So I have about, 6-7 years in finance. Right now I work for JP Morgan. I am studying for my 2nd level of the CFA exam. It's real rigorous. I was scared of it when I was younger, but then I was like, you know what? They're going to pay for it, so I'm going to go do it. So about the Corporate Coke and Smack podcast. So honestly, me and him, we just had like really good conversations. Like we met at a wedding actually. Like I didn't even know this guy. And we met at a wedding and it's like, oh, yo, you live down the street from me. It's like, okay. Oh, you also work down the street from me. So we just kept in contact, and then out of the blue, we thought about, like, yo, we have really good conversations, and we wanted to just educate people, because I think what we realized is that a lot of our peers think finance is just this complicated thing. And I mean, you got to take your time with it, but I mean, as long as you just apply yourself, you can make money out here, you can be free as far as like your economic status. So that's what we aim to do. We just bought some equipment, and we've been going for a year.
64 episodes.
64. What was that in time?
Yeah, about a year and some change.
About a year and some change. You know, after this, we're actually going to record, and we bought new suits for this. You know, this was like, yo, we wanted to be fresh. You know, so we got the new blazers. You know, how we look, man? How we look? You all right?
I like the yellow.
I appreciate it. I told you about the pocket square, man.
I'm a simple guy. I keep it simple. Just throw the suit on. Show up. You know what I'm saying?
Thank you, man. Thank you. So, as you mentioned, we have like our handles up there. So, CC Smack Podcast, that is our Instagram. About a little bit more about the podcast. It's like a laid back, I want to say, just conversation. We're not just throwing out like, okay, hey, invest. We're talking about the culture. We're talking about our days. We're talking about what we did that we shouldn't have did when we were younger. And then we're saying, okay, now invest. You know, so it's like, anybody can sit in and, you know, just have fun. We like to just make people laugh, but we also like to educate people. So, CC Smack Podcast, that's our Instagram. We're on SoundCloud. We're on like your Apple Podcast platform. Just type in Corporate Coke and Smack. And a fun fact, we're actually in a legal battle with Coke because of our names. But we'll tell you more about that later.
Yeah.
So I also have my handle, along with Toby, and that is Josh's handle, Instagram, Twitter. What is it, Josh D Lifestyle?
Yes.
Yes, it was a very extravagant lifestyle. All right, so why don't you go ahead and kick us off?
Cool. So yeah, like Toby was saying, our podcast, we like to, talk about practical everyday stuff, not just finance. We talk about what's going on in the news. We don't get too political, because we know that's can be quite controversial in the current climate. We also talk about ways, career development, personal development, just ways to better yourself, all together.
Yeah, and I like that we were once in your shoes. Like never forget that. I think when we were coming up, like our parents and kind of like people older than us, they would always say, "Oh, we've been through what you've been through. We've really been through what y'all been through." Like we've gone through some of the struggles. I got student loan debt. Hopefully y'all don't. We've had credit cards. We've gone through the ups and downs. So our appeal is that we're kind of closer in the age gap to the generation that we're trying to appeal to. So it's like there's not that big of a gap when it comes to, okay, well, they just don't understand it, so whatever it is.
So just to put out there, we're not late 20s, all right?
I'm 28, I'll put it out there. Late 20s,
There you go.
He's scared?
All right, let's get to it.
All right, go ahead.
So yeah, as you see the picture here, we have Black Youngster. So this is quite a pic here.
Did everybody know who that is? Everybody knows that's
Right,
Black
it is,
Youngster?
yeah.
Okay.
So that's a guy you on Instagram, tossing large wads of money everywhere. So the title of this program today is Why Are Black People So Broke? Closing the Wealth Gap. So I just want to get a little feedback from the audience. Does anyone in here actually think that like the majority of black people are broke?
Yeah.
So you do?
Yeah.
And why do you
Show
think
of
that?
hands? Just you?
I don't know.
Okay,
So you think the
why
majority,
do you think so?
Necessarily, I don't think like it's like physically, right? Like
Physically broke?
financially. I'm sorry.
I was about to say.
More so, the mentality.
Oh, the mentality, okay,
The
okay.
mentality of like not having opportunity.
Now, where does that come from though? Did somebody tell you this, or is it just what you're seeing, or is it just in your
I
spirit?
mean, yeah, I've been told. Then also
Who told you?
my uncle.
Oh, your uncle?
Well, I've had conversations about it. Kind of
Yeah.
thinking on the opposite side. I mean, just like from looking at it, like how like we kind of put ourselves in our own hole.
Mm.
Just that.
Are you broke?
mentality. No, I'm not broke.
Wow, but you're a black person.
Yeah, but my mentality is.
Okay, so they broke.
The ones that put themselves in the I'm broke mentality.
Gotcha,
are broke.
gotcha.
Yeah.
Young lady in the back, I'm gonna get to you. What? Yeah.
I think a majority of us were definitely financially and mentally broke.
Cool.
It's definitely rooted in the system. Like they're meant to be broke. Like the communities are meant to be poverty ridden, things of that such.
So it's a system oppression type thing. Okay, got you. That's interesting. All right, what about you?
I actually was going to mention, like, it's basically a system of oppression, but
Yeah.
I don't necessarily like to use the term broke. Like, I don't like to use the term broke. That's all I'm going to say. Jokingly, financially unstable is more so what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay. Interesting. Interesting.
Good takes. All right, so I'll go ahead and get it rolling.
Yeah, well, the reason why we actually picked this background, like, we thought about the topic, and then we just thought about, what's the most outlandish thing we could think about, and Black Youngster just popped up, because he's just crazy. And the issue with it is, this is what mainstream media shows you when you tend to think about black people. Like, if you just was walking the earth, you didn't know anything about black people, white people, and mainstream America is like, okay, well, hey, let me show you this black person. You see Black Youngster just stuttering, talking about, smacking in the face with all his money and throwing money in the air. You could think, well, he's not living his life in a way, in a wise way, or spending his money wisely. And that was why we chose this, because essentially you have people who they're looking at this, and they're looking at other people, whether it's rappers, entertainers, athletes, or whatever it is, and they're going off of that and saying, okay, well, black people just don't know how to use their money. That's why we chose that. All right. Now, before we went forward, we did want to acknowledge some people who are closing that gap, because not everybody is broke or using their money in frivolous ways. So we went online and we saw who the top 10,
Yep.
top 10
Wealthiest
most wealthiest
African
African
Americans.
Americans.
Yep.
Right. What names do you guys think would be on there? Oprah. Okay.
Yeah.
We got Oprah. I see Oprah. Okay. Uncle Jay-Z. Who else? LeBron. Tyler Perry. That's a good one.
Okay.
Who? Diddy?
Sean
All right.
Perry.
So let's go down. Let's see what we got. richest African Americans in the USA. Oprah Winfrey, right? Ain't she single? Isn't Oprah single?
She has a boyfriend.
Yo, did you see that meme where it's like guys after 30 talking about what's the move?
Yeah.
Oprah needs to stop asking what's the move and get married. That's what I'm going to say off top. Robert F. Smith. This is a name probably people don't know. Who knows Robert F. Smith? You want to tell them who Robert F. Smith is?
Yeah, so he's an American businessman. He's a venture capitalist, worth about $4.4 billion. He was recently featured in the Forbes magazine, so when you get a chance, check him out.
Yeah.
He's not a well-publicized guy, but he has a lot of great things going on. He's in real estate as well.
Yeah, you're wealthy, stay low key. But I think his company is Vista Capital,
Yes.
something like that. Yeah. Wealthy individual. Then you have Michael Jordan. Everybody knows about him.
Y'all still buying them J's? Yeah, got them J's though.
I mean, the ones that lace up automatically, they might, help your performance on the court. So, hey, I got no problem. Diddy on Sean Combs.
Ciroc boys.
You got Tiger Woods. Robert L. Johnson. Anybody know who Robert L. Johnson is?
First black billionaire.
Okay. Well, what did you do to become a billionaire?
Nobody is named. He invented BET or just founded it.
Ah, yeah, BET. Yep. Black Entertainment Television. Mr. Robert L. Johnson. Mariah Carey. I put a question mark about that because I was like, I didn't know, I mean, she did a feature with Old Dirty Bastard, so maybe that was like, her access. But after some research, we did find out that her dad, right? Mixed.
Part Venezuelan and forgot the other. Yeah.
Yeah, but he was mixed, so she qualified. She's in the bunch. All right, Magic Johnson. Y'all know who he is. Jay-Z. And then Sheila Johnson. Who knows who Sheila Johnson is? So crazy, Sheila Johnson was actually married to Robert L. Johnson, and they co-founded. Well, I don't know if they co-founded or did she help them. They
Yeah,
co-founded.
yeah.
So they co-founded BET. So shout out to the strong woman, because I think people don't remember that she was also at the table.
They got to the bag and then.
She was with him while
Yeah.
she was in the gym. All right.
Cool. So we're gonna start off with how we're spending our money. So this thing.
Wait. Why I think right laughing? I want to know what's going on. What's so
She
funny?
said all of the above, and we were like, yeah.
All the above. Why are you laughing?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
So how are you spending your money? Food, clothes, shoes. Now I know you all at college age. I mean, are y'all still getting fresh?
I'm sure y'all got your own occasions. When we were in college, we were sweats and just, you gotta go to class, you gotta get what you gotta.
It's almost another season for the ladies.
Wait, so when do you guys actually dress up, to do stuff? Going out?
This weekend.
Yeah.
Alright, so I'm just gonna be straight to the point. So we're African American. I know Main Street is kind of the other people's bar. So is there a particular area that the minority students go to party, or do you do kickbacks and things like that?
It's more like a kickback scene, so you're not really wearing you're not going to buy an outfit for a Friday party unless it's a thing. Then girls typically buy an outfit for I don't know.
So we're I'm just chilling, just wear my frat stuff and I'm good.
Yeah. The only time I'm buying a new fit is just a big event, you know what I mean?
Got a
Homecoming.
a big venue.
Like homecoming, for example, is one where
I like the step shows and the events around that. Okay, gotcha.
Or probates, you don't try to be seen out there or anything like that? No?
And don't you have
I know
a
they
big
do that.
spring concert every year, I think?
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
but
that's
Have they stopped doing that, or do they still do that?
They still do it. but
Okay.
That shit just didn't do it.
I remember, I think, it was either 2 or 3 years ago I came and it was featured.
Yeah, I can feature one.
Yeah, okay. So, spending money on food, clothes, shoes, parties, liquor. Everybody here drink? No.
I mean, we're not the podcast.
Yeah, we're not
that
judging.
drink,
Yeah,
okay?
we're not the police and nothing like that. And then Uber and Lyft, that's the popular thing now for the college.
Yeah. Is there anything that we're missing on here that you guys spend the majority of your money on?
Thanks, bro.
How much y'all spend on hair? Hair's expensive.
Thanks, I
Oh,
got
yeah.
25 a cut.
25, yeah.
Plus
Yeah.
tip.
I'm crying.
Wait, what?
That's nice.
What?
I'm sorry.
What you saying?
Oh, she said it depends on the unit.
Oh, it depends on the
Oh,
unit.
like
Oh,
the
okay, okay. All
install.
right.
Yeah.
Maybe like the 18 inch or 24. It depends. Gotcha. Okay.
Word. Okay.
Do any of the fellas get a haircut in the dorm?
Used to.
Okay, my man over there.
You
On a
used
tight
to it?
budget, I feel you.
You say you used to it, so what?
Oh,
So your
yeah.
marriage messed up or what?
Well, no, he doesn't really come around anymore. He's just busy. He's
Okay.
uh,
Gotcha.
So when we look at the ways that we're spending our money, and going back to the title, they say, you know, why black people broke. So black people, we have a $1.2 trillion, you know, buying power. That's how much we spend annually in the economy. So when you think of a number that large, and that's a pretty large number, it's like, we have all that money, what are we doing with it? You know, like, where's it going?
Yeah.
Is it, you know, are we spending it on entertainment, on, you know, parties? Are we spending it on, you know, depreciating assets like car leases? You know, are we buying cars that we can't afford and, you know, instead of getting the luxury car, maybe we just gotta buy a Nissan Altima, like, you know what I'm saying? So,
Yeah, I was gonna say you should talk about what young adults outside of school, like after you graduate, and some of our peers, what are they spending their money on?
yep. So, is everyone out of class then? No. Okay, well, eventually you're gonna graduate. So, you know, once you graduate, 6 months after you graduate, Navient or whoever if you do have student loans, whoever your lender is gonna send you a letter in the mail. It's gonna say, this is your monthly payment. So when you think of preparing yourself for after college and down the road, it's like you wanna set yourself up for success. So that includes cutting back on, you know, frivolous spending. You know, instead of going, you know, the parties that you're going to on the regular, it's okay to tell your friends, no, you know, I'm gonna sit this one out. Things like that can help you to keep more money in your pocket versus spending it. And also, after school, I mean, when you move out on your own, if you have, you know, your own rent, or, you know, if you're going to buy a home, you're gonna have a mortgage, there are gonna be much more important things than some of the stuff we have listed, besides food.
Yeah.
Everyone can eat.
You know, the point I was gonna make is that if you don't fix some of these things or just monitor your spending while you're in school, America will definitely find a way to charge you to continue having fun after you get out. Like the people who love to just, you know, go out every weekend and, you know, maybe you paying like $5 or $10 to get into whatever party or you buying your bottles. Once you get out, now you're getting a little bit more money. Well, now you still want to have that fun, you still want to have that scene. Well, they got body rolls for that. You could buy your tables. And you might think, oh, I'll never get there, but it's definitely some of our periods where we've seen those patterns, and now it's like, I don't even have to ask, you know, I can tell that they're drowning in debt. You know, when it's like, oh, hey, let's link up, and it's like, oh yeah, I can, and it's not saying that you can't, you know, have boundaries as far as what you can do with your money, but you understand that some people are just tied down because they have all this debt from some of these things that followed them out from college.
And also, the biggest industry that's gonna have an impact on your spending is the marketing industry.
Yeah.
It's all psychological, I promise you. You see billboards everywhere, and you have, you know, these catchy lines to try and get you to come to their store or visit their websites. Or you even have companies who will put things on what appear to be a discount, but they aren't losing any money. They're still getting a profit from it, based on, the cost of manufacturing versus, you know, the shelf price.
Yeah, you know, side note, make sure you guys love yourself, you know, because America will take your insecurities, you know, put a price tag on it. You know, guys be insecure about the hairlines, they sell the hairlines now. No, it's the truth. You know, you get insecure about what other thing,
Yeah, Safari.
right, or, no, think about it though, like now they have a subscription service for, like, if these pills that get you up, for like, if you have like sexual problems or whatever. Like they have subscription models where these things just come into your house, you know, so women, you know, it's like, oh, if you don't love the way your body is, you can buy a body. You know, it's like, it's nothing. So if you gotta remember to just love yourself, because America would definitely try and just tax you for it, you know?
Yeah, being cognizant of your spending, that's one of the things that we stress in the podcast is.
Definitely. All right. So it's my goal. So why do we actually need to save for emergencies? That's one of the biggest things we need to save for. Now, I remember being in a relationship, you know, I'm in a relationship right now, shout out to my girl. But I remember being in a relationship when I was younger, and I would have like these fights, and I would just, you know, we'd break up, but I would need something from her, you know, and it's like I had to hit her up, and I get into trouble, because then I get back with her, and I shouldn't have got back with her just because like I needed something from her. So, oh yeah, look at,
No, I will be, I'm just listening to you, sorry.
okay, y'all got a similar situation?
No, I don't.
Okay,
No, I
good,
do not.
good. No, but it's the same way with money and emergencies. When you get into these emergencies and you don't have that emergency fund, now it's like, I gotta use that thing that I said I wasn't gonna use. I gotta use that credit card, or I gotta borrow money at just a higher interest rate. Emergencies are one of the biggest things that would definitely put your budget out of whack. You know, so having an emergency fund, having your savings, that would definitely help. So,
So I was gonna ask, so when is the last time that anyone in here has had like an abrupt emergency or abrupt bill, like maybe you had car troubles or something that came up, just blew your whole day, like, oh my gosh, not again.
Yeah, so we had a cookout at the beginning of the school year, the back to school cookout. And the cop came and told us to turn the music down. And I was like, no, it's cool, like, it's not that loud. So we turned it down, but like not off. And then he said, well, come back, like you're gonna get a noise violation. And I'm like, all right, well, we're not gonna turn the music down and make everybody leave. So he ended up coming back, and then I got a $190 ticket last week from it. So,
What about you?
fight it, man. You gotta take it to court. Can you?
no, I mean, the music was on. like,
Got you.
I can't remember exactly what it was. I just know it has something to do with my car. I had to pay like over $100 something to get something fixed. I can't remember. And then literally like a week later, my check engine light came on. I'm like, yo, now I gotta go get that checked out. Oh, I know what it was. Something on my oil, but yeah.
It was car related.
Yeah, it was car.
Right, it was something that you couldn't foresee.
Yeah, it just came out of nowhere. I'm like,
Came out of nowhere, right?
Yeah.
And on top of that, I had to pay installation for my student loan. That was the main thing. It all happened in like the same week. And, like,
Okay. What about you?
I was gonna share, like a week before school started, my exhaust for my car like fell off. It kind of like,
The exhaust pipe?
yeah, the exhaust pipe.
Wow.
Yeah, so I had to get that fixed. But then like when I went, I guess like I was running around with no oil, no antifreeze, like.
You was really messing it up.
they see the lights like, it's all right.
He was like, you're like a mile away from blowing up, sweet.
Wow.
And
Hey, I'm patting you here.
I had to fix all of that, and then money, that was like a week before school, so it's like, well, what money am I coming into with?
Right.
this and
So
that?
where do you guys go to when you need money? Like when it's like, yo, I ain't got it. Where do you guys go to?
Parents.
Parents?
My mom.
The dad fund, the dad fund, the bank of dad.
Parents. And you know, sometimes your parents cut you off. They also like, nah, we done heard this story enough times, okay? And honestly, everybody needs to understand. It don't matter what kind of car you got, your car's gonna break down. I don't care if you're riding a Tesla. Elon Musk was smoking weed when he made your car. So something's gonna go wrong with it, you know? So it don't matter what kind of car you got, you have to think about, maintenance, routine checkups, like something's gonna go wrong. You know, and for some people who don't have their parents, then it's like, okay, well, you got plenty of lenders who will definitely just prey on you. You know, as far as you're a student, you don't have that much debt, your credit's okay. Well, yeah, come on over. One signature and what? They'll give you like a $10,000 limit, you know? And it's like, you don't even make that right now. So that's one thing about just emergencies and why it's good to save. And some short-term emergencies, definitely the car. You know, I think of short-term emergencies like if, like I say my phone drops. These phones are expensive right now. You know, if my phone drops, you go to Apple, they're like, okay, we no longer sell your phone anymore. You know, are they selling iPhone 7s anymore?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's the bottom line.
Oh, it's the bottom of the line.
That's the bottom
Right.
line.
Well, what if I want to, get to the top of the line? You know, there's like, okay, do I have the money to then replace this phone? And by the time they get into replacing your screen and all that, it's like, I might as well buy another phone. You know, so short-term emergencies and things like that. Maybe if you want to buy like a hoopty, not like a big name car, but just something to get you from A to B. That might be one of your short-term goals. Getting gifts for somebody, that could be a short-term goal. Now,
Birthday celebration?
yeah, yeah.
You wanna do something major for a birthday? Wanna get like a venue for some friends?
Actually, so in our world, you know, people getting married nowadays, and these weddings are too much. I can't do it. So whenever they invite you to a wedding, it's like, okay, now you gotta buy a gift for them, then you gotta, you know, buy another suit, you know.
If you're in a wedding party, that's
Is that-
money.
Yo, I'm dodging all requests to be the groomsman. You know, like if you're not like if you wasn't with me since I was like 3 years old, I can't be a groomsman. You know, because buying the suit, doing the parties, and all, it costs money, and that's where some of your savings can come into play. You know, long-term goals. I mean, everybody's in school now. Once you get out of school, you might think, okay, well maybe I want to buy a house. You know, there's a down payment on the house. If you are a first-time buyer, I think you can get some type of discount, right?
Yeah, so like, you know, if you wanna, so in general, when people think about buying a home, you may hear like, oh, you need 20% down. Well, that's for a conventional loan. Does anyone know what a FHA loan is? Or have you heard of it? You heard of it, yeah. So what an FHA loan is, you only need 3.5% down versus the 20%. So that makes it a lot more realistic. So when you think about a $200,000 home and 3.5%, you know, you're talking like $7.5 to $8,000 plus closing costs. And the reason I say that is because a lot of financial goals that people want to reach are much more obtainable than is broadcasted. Like you don't have to be this rich person or like super established to get into a home. So I just wanted to state that because I know when I was coming out of school, it seemed like, you know, you had to work until your, you know, early 30s or your late 20s just to be able to afford a home. But now they have so many programs, like Toby said, with first-time home buyer programs. If you go meet with a local lender, they can tell you about all the programs that they had. Like just giving you a little testimony from my story. So when I bought my home, I had no intention of buying a home.
He actually didn't. He called me and weren't you looking for another apartment or something like that?
Yeah, well, I was thinking about getting to another apartment, and then I was like, okay, I'm gonna go to a local lender and just see like what the process is like. So I go to the lender, and she says, oh yeah, well, they have this program going on with M&T Bank, where if your home is within, I forgot what the term is called, but like it's not called zip code, but it's within like a certain section of the city. You can get your closing costs covered, and there's grant money to be given. So this program with M&T, it was in Delaware, New York, Maryland, in the Mid-Atlantic region. So I was like, wow. So even when she first told me that, I was like, I don't know if I want the responsibility of like having to be in a home. Like, you know, you can't just call the maintenance guy and say, oh yeah, come fix my washing machine. You know, like you got to do everything yourself. So long story short, I went. So I saw a home, and I was like, yeah, I'll just call her up. Let's go look at it. Let's do a walkthrough and see how the process goes. So as she was talking about it, like it seemed more appealing. So then she was like, you should put a bid in. So I'm like, I don't know, like how much money I come out of my pocket? So I ended up putting a bid in, and lo and behold, it was like, I forgot how many other bidders, maybe like 3 or 4 other bidders, but I got the house, and when I went to close to get the keys, I actually got a check back. So I basically got into the house with no money down. And it still was a conventional loan, so it wasn't an FHA loan, because with the FHA loan, even though you can put down 3.5%, they have a thing called PMI, private mortgage insurance, where you have to pay that every month until you're up to 80% of the loan to the value of the house. So I was fortunate. So, you know, if anyone, you know, in the near future, or if after you graduate, you thinking like, all right, you found out the area you want to live in. Because we know when you rent an apartment, like it's not technically throwing money away, but you're not getting equity off of it. At least with the home, like you build equity, then even with the mortgage interest, you know, you can deduct that on your taxes. So we're not saying rush into a house, but also, you know, if you feel like you're responsible and you think you found an area where you want to settle down, you know, reach out to a local lender and see what options are available. You don't know until you ask.
You actually brand new, because when we did the slide, this was my slide. You wasn't supposed to. You know, man, he just went on for like 10 minutes. I'm sitting over here like, yo, is it my turn yet? But no, honestly, this is why we created the podcast. 'Cause we just wanted to just have conversations with people and share some of the things that we learned that maybe you might just, you might not be getting thrown at you. Because some of this information, like imagine if you're maybe 5 years younger and you're thinking, okay, you know, I'm about to get this money out here, I'm about to be rich, and you Google, okay, top 10 black people in the United States of America, and you see all those names, and it's like, okay, well, that means I either gotta be in entertainment or I gotta be an athlete to make this list, you know, and that's sort of the narrative that is sold as far as like you can't make real money if you're not playing sports or rapping or singing. It's like, no, it's a lie. There are a lot of tips out here, there are a lot of gems out here, there are a lot of programs. There's so much out here where, I mean, you can set yourself up and you don't have to be an entertainer. You can just be low-key like Mr. Robert L. Smith, you know? Robert L. Smith somewhere chilling, you know, fireside, I don't know, probably lions, tigers, bears, because he got that. You know, so that's one of the reasons why we started this podcast. And you mentioned something about student loans and you paying on it right now. How many people have student loans right now? No.
Oh, well, it wasn't my student loan.
Oh, wasn't your student loan?
It was just straight up tuition.
Oh, straight up tuition. Okay. Word. Okay. Nice. Well, we'll get a little bit into that later. And the last reason why we want to say it is so we can get more money, so we can grow that money, we can earn more. And now I'm going to switch off to my partner Josh to talk about interest.
So here we have a bar graph to show the power of interest and how you can grow your money. So does anyone here currently invest, like in stock market and real estate? Anyone invest?
Do you invest in anything? Your girl, your man?
So do you do the stocks or?
Stocks.
Okay, then do you use like one of those robo-advisor apps like Betterment or Robinhood?
I use Robinhood.
Okay, all right.
Now, how were you introduced to stocks? Like, what was the first?
Through probably like my senior year of high school, some of my friends, like their parents are like wealth managers and stuff, so then they had them doing it, and then
You said some of your friends' parents were wealth managers.
yeah,
Oh, nice. You got the cheat code.
yeah. So then after that, like I tried it, like I bought one stock for like $18.
What stock was that? Doing mind me asking?
I want to say it was Twitter,
Okay.
something like that.
Nice.
Yeah, I haven't gone up. Twitter hasn't gone up ever. Like, after that, I got like really interested in it.
Right.
Started following people on Twitter like
Yeah.
that, who do stocks and stuff. One thing that I'm in right now is Rice Brand. It's this rice company out in the Midwest. And since I've been in it, it has gone or my total, I've lost I made $12.69 since I've been in it.
Okay.
So the reason I bring this up is because one of the most popular ways to build wealth for the typical American who didn't have quote unquote a head start or wasn't a trust fund baby is through the stock market or investing their money. So just to give you a little overview of the stock market, over the last 90 years, the S&P 500, which is the major index in the stock market, which is a compilation of the largest 500 companies, largest 500 public companies in America, that index has went up, annualized average return of 9.8%. So if you just blindly just throw your money into a fund that mirrored the S&P, then you have an annualized return on your money of almost 10% every year, which isn't bad, pretty good. So this chart here just shows where you have three different scenarios where people are investing money and they have different time horizons. So the first situation, you have someone who invested for 3 years, and each year they invested $3,600. So $300 a month, and you get paid bi-weekly, $150 per check. And this is with a 6% return on their money. So after 3 years, they had $11,460. In the second scenario, you have a person who invested $2,400 for 7 years annually, same interest rate of 6%, and it grew to $20,000 $145. Then you have the third scenario where they invested over 15 years and only $1,200 a year. So 100 a month, 50 every other week, $25 per week if you want to just, simplify it. And over 15 years they ended up with $27,931. So does anyone see the concept in that?
Is it like saying that, on top of like the 20, on top of the, cause 1,200 times 15 would be like on its face, what, I don't know if I'm at.
Should be about
We have phones, so
18,000.
Right.
So like you're really making like almost double your money
Right.
Yeah.
off of 6% interest over the 15 years.
So I think one of the points you wanted to touch on was in each scenario, like in the first scenario, they're putting in $300 a month.
Mhm.
Second scenario, they're putting in $200 a month. Third scenario, they're putting in $100 a month. But it's the time factor of them waiting in. And even if you were putting in, if you can put in $300 a month and still stay in the market for 15 years, because this simulation is after 3 years, it's like, okay, I'm trying to celebrate, I'm gonna cash out, I'm gonna do my thing. Or after 7 years, I'm gonna cash out. And the 15-year bar, that's basically just, weathering the storm and just saying, okay, you know what, I'm gonna stay consistent with this until this time. In 15 years, you coming out with that amount of money versus cashing out and then spending it, you're making so much from the compounding interest, and you're gonna be a lot better off than whoever, got out the market. And it's important to mention that, like right now, you might hear things in the news like, oh, the market's up, the market's down. The market's always gonna be up and down, Some people might panic and say, okay, you know what, I need to sell. That could be your 3-year people, who are like, yo, it's just too much right now. But talk about just staying invested and why that's important.
So staying invested through the ups and downs is important because you can never time the stock market. Like, no one's gonna wake up tomorrow and say, oh, this stock may be up a certain percentage or it may be down a certain percentage. Like, there's so many factors, so many variables that you just can't time it. But going back to what I initially said, how if you stay in it over time through the ups and the downs, you get a 9.8% return. Now, one of the strategies or one of the things that people do sometimes is called DCA, dollar cost averaging. So what you could do is you could say, on a certain date every month, I'm gonna put a certain amount into the stock market. So the reason people do that is because, for instance, let's say a stock, you say you're gonna do 300 a month, and it's 50 a share. So you'll buy 6 shares. Now let's say, and a year later, that same stock is up to 100, but you're gonna put that same 300 in. So then you can buy 3 shares. So the concept there is that you're buying more shares when the price is lower, and you're buying less shares when it's higher. And that's a popular strategy that, novice or intermediate investors use because, like I said, you can't time the market. No matter what fund you use, what stock you use.
Yeah. And you can't get that time back. Once you get out, you might say, oh, yo, now it's time for me to get in, but now you have to reinvest and you waste a lot of time. Just like a relationship. Once you get out that relationship, try to get it's never the same. So the way I look at it is when you actually stay invested, it's gonna be ups and downs, weather the storm, your life's not gonna be over. And this is a fraction of your paycheck. We're not saying, oh hey, invest your whole paycheck in the market. Now that might be a little rough, because you depend on the interest to live. But this is just a fraction of what you're pulling in to stay invested.
And if you go over to the right bar, the most right bar, so $1,200 over 15 years, so that's 100 a month, 25 a week. When we go back to the first slide, we talk about your spending habits. Like, just think of ways you could cut back like $25 a week and invest, and you could potentially have, $27,000 or more or less, depending on what you're investing. Like I said, like 6%, that's on the lower end because the S&P average is almost 10% over the last 90 years. So just think like, invest that little bit of money every week. You can cut back on a bottle of Ciroc or a bottle of Henny and invest it, and your money will grow. Now, the thing with this is that, you know, you gotta have patience, you gotta have discipline, because it's gonna be delayed gratification. It's not like, you know, you're gonna have the money today. This shows, you know, this takes 15 years to grow. So it's gonna take some delayed gratification, some discipline also. There's gonna be times where you're like, is it really worth it? Cause that's how I felt when I first started investing. I'm like, you know, like, you gotta take 15, they talking, you know, you're in your early 20s and they talk about saving for retirement, like, that's 40 years from now. You're like, do I really wanna do it? But when you look at the charts, you look at, you know, the hypothetical growth of your money and how it can grow over time, and the earlier you start, the less you have to, you know, contribute to really have that stash, or, you know, you don't even have to be invested for retirement. You can be investing, you know, for a house, you know, 5, 10 years down the road, or, you know, think about children in the future, or, you know, you think about a vacation, you know, a couple years down the road. It's a long-term goal, something that you want to, you know, use your money and get a return on it versus just sitting in a savings account. Like, does everyone here have a savings account? So you see, like, month to month, that joint be like 0.1 cent interest. Like, it'd be very minimal. But in the stock market, you know, you get it's going to be more risk, but of course, with risk comes reward.
Yeah, and I was gonna add automated. It's automated. You know, sometimes it's a little hard for you to put the money in the job. You know, if you just automate it where you got your check coming to this bank and then automatically $50 goes here, boom, boom, boom. It's simple. And then when we talked about the term of black people being broke, a couple people said mentality. You know, and this is where that comes into play. The mentality of, okay, can I have discipline? Can I automate this? Can I just set it and then just worry about something else and let that money work for me? You know, that's where the mentality is well, that's where the work needs to be done. Like things like this and just having that discipline, you know?
All right.
So moving forward, we talked a lot about savings and now we want to actually talk about how can you better save. So some saving strategies, well, it's not really strategies, but these are more so accounts that everybody in this room can get into. The first thing is your traditional savings account. So everybody said they have different types of savings account. They're free. If you're paying for a savings account, you need to log on to the internet and type in free savings accounts because you should not be paying for that. These typically don't give you that much interest. I don't know what the typical average savings account is giving you, but some don't give you any interest. There are some savings accounts that don't give you any interest. The next thing you have is your money market savings account. So the difference between the money market and the traditional savings account is, I think the money market is tied to like the Fed. So the rate is like a sweep rate that every bank has where overnight the money you deposit is funneled through and there's some type of larger interest rate attached to that. So you will get more interest if you do the money market savings account. These typically come with thresholds. Like I think sometimes they'll say you gotta have like at least $1,500 at all times in the account for you to get the money market account. And like I said, the addition with that is you get a little bit more on the interest side. The next thing, you got your online savings account. So because you're not going to an actual branch and people don't have to be hired and you know it's just all telebanking or whatever they call it, you can get a little bit more on the interest side when you do your online savings account. I think there's one online savings account that's really popular. Ally, yes, Ally. I don't know what percent they are, but it's a lot higher than.
I think some of them get like close to 2%.
Yeah.
Like 1.8, 1.9. It varies, but
yeah.
close to 2%.
Now, what could be a downside to having just your online savings account? What do you think?
Well, you don't have the accessibility, you know, to go into a branch to get the money. But that could also be a good thing because you can't easily touch the money. You can't easily touch the money. So you're like, I don't really feel like going through this process. I just let the money sit there. And it's also getting that greater interest rate on it.
Yeah, very true. And then also with like your traditional banks, when you have these banks where you can walk into, you can, I guess, plead your case just a little bit more. Like if you needed some type of funds for anything, you walk into a bank and you're like, hey, this is the situation, blah, 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 versus getting on the phone, you know. So just some minor things. And then savings bonds. So everybody in this room, while you're a student, if you actually buy a savings bond, the interest that you get on that savings bond is going to be tax-free. So that's good because taxes is the downfall of a lot of people that make it in wealthy. Now, the types of saving bonds you can get, I think it's a I bond and an EE bond, and they're just different in terms of how the interest is calculated. Like I think one is tied to the consumer price index or something, but you're still gonna get interest off of these bonds, and these are pretty safe measures. So the reasons why we don't have, like, save up, and we don't have like anything like the stock market or the corporate bond market is, we want to show you things where the risk is little to nothing, and where you can save your money and you know you're going to have that money and it's going to earn a little bit at the end of the day. The last thing is your certificates of deposits or your CDs. Who's familiar with CDs? Not like those, but certificates of deposits. Anybody? Okay, so you're familiar with them?
A little bit.
Okay, so your CDs, that is when, let's say you have a lump sum, you have your 500, I don't know where you got it from, but legal. You got your money, and you want to make a little bit more on it, and you're looking at these savings accounts, and you're like, yo, it's not lit over here. Like, I don't want my 0.1%. What a bank will offer you is, okay, I can give you this certificate of deposit where you place this money in the bank, and you cannot touch it. You cannot touch it for, it could be a 6-month term, it could be a year term, it could be a 2-year term, and the longer you set it up for it, the more interest they will give you. So you could look at it as, maybe I wanna do something crazy. I wanna do like a big trip once I graduate. I'm graduating in a couple years, and I have this lump sum now, and I'm like, yo, it's just sitting here, I don't wanna touch it, I don't wanna get tempted by it. Well, you can get a 2-year CD. That's gonna, like, you can't go to the bank and say, hey, I really want this, you cut me some slack. They will hit you with a penalty, so it's not in your favor to do that. So it's a way to keep you disciplined, and you get more interest than any one of these other options.
So, like, how much more interest? Is it like 3%? Like,
So I actually was looking online at a 1-year CD, and I saw I think it was 2.5%. I know 2.5%.
You remember what institution it was?
It was online. It was an online something.
Okay.
No, I don't remember what institution it was. I was just looking into it. But I don't know if savings accounts are that lucrative. Like, can you look that up on your phone?
You got savings accounts?
Yeah, like what the average savings account will give you.
it's like I always get like a penny every month.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. You
It's not green on that side. Like you're not gonna have a savings account where you actually want to put all your money into it because you're getting a substantial amount from interest. So your CDs will be, like, that will be your choice if you're worried about, okay, well, I need a little bit more interest, like at least 1% more. But you can't touch that. Now, of course, there's always a back door, but you gotta pay some type of fee.
So just to say one thing about the savings accounts, like savings accounts is more so for your short-term money. Because you don't want to put like short-term money, say you need it in like 6 months to the stock market, and if the stock falls, now you still need that money, but now it's worth less. So savings accounts are more so for, short-term, maybe 1 or 2 years, something that you don't want to risk losing value for, but you do want to get like a little bit, interest on it.
Yeah. And then we're gonna talk about side hustles, because side hustles is a great way for you to actually get some money to save. Because when I was in college, I think one of my side hustles was cutting hair. Now for a woman, shoot, if I was in college, I'm gonna do women's hair because it's a lot of money. I know y'all spending a lot on your hair, so that's another hustle you can have. We just put some that we were thinking about at the time. eBay, all these, most of your sneakers, most of the clothes. Like, I remember so many fits that I bought, and I was like, yo, I'm killing the day. A week goes by, I'm like, yo, it's over for that fit. It is what it is.
I mean, the big thing right now is what, reselling. You got, Yeezys are popular. What else is popular? What else? Off-White, Virgil Abloh.
Yeah.
Like, I was looking the other day, I forgot which model it was, but it was reselling for like $1,200. I think it was one of the 97s. Yeah. Off-White 97s. And I think retail go for what, $200, $250, something like this? Yeah, so people reselling them from $600.
You almost gotta tackle people that like buying from, like, unless you have a plug, right? Yeah, it's rough out there. Driving Uber/Lyft. Now this will put some miles on your car, and if you have a car that the maintenance is high, Like, don't do Uber with your car. Okay, you talking about
Well, it's good now. She got a new tailpipe, so.
Maybe. Okay, maybe. But yeah, that's another way you can make some money. Social media influence. So this is somewhere we're kind of like, really? But I think it's more popular now, where if you're in that type of setting where, you know, there's a company that they know they're reaching out to college students and that's the people who are buying that stuff, they will send you gear, they will pay you a little bit of money to advertise their stuff, you know? So what are you gonna say?
Yeah, I was saying, so they a lot of brands now, they have reps or they call brand ambassadors, that they pay people to, like, you know, wear their clothes. And they do it based off like your follower count. So different brands have, you know, different minimum requirements that if you meet it, you know, you can contact them, and if you go to like different events and stuff, they'll pay you. I mean, even we talk about the liquor brands, like Ciroc has brand ambassadors, Hennessy has brand ambassadors. You know, think about the clothing, from your Calvin Kleins to, I mean, it seems like every rapper is a brand ambassador for Gucci right now. You would think so.
Gucci's making a killing out here, man.
That's like the top.
They changed it to the Tiger, and that just took off. Like,
took off.
get money out here. You know, I actually know a Fashion Nova Plus girl. Like, she models for Fashion Nova and all that stuff. So shout out to her. But also drop shipping. Drop shipping is where you have a company who they have to get a product to some end user, but they send it to you first. They send products to you, and then you ship it for them. So I think you know a little bit more about drop shipping than I do. So what's the advantage of drop shipping?
Like low overhead. You don't have to have any inventory, which is great.
Yep.
You just contact, you know, a manufacturer who's making the item that you're looking to sell. I think the biggest part of your overhead is probably just maintaining the website. When people come to your website, when they place the order's automatically routed to the manufacturer. The manufacturer fulfills the order and ships it to your customer. So drop shipping is very popular right now. To me, like, everything's getting made in China for the low, you know. So I mean, the tariffs might throw it off a little bit. The tariffs might throw it off. Anybody heard about the tariffs that Trump has announced? So it's a thing in the international economy where the U.S. and China, they're going back and forth. So a tariff is basically like a tax put on an item that's exported to a country. So America initially put aluminum.
Aluminum that affects like your, I think cars are feeling that.
Yeah, carrots, like, you know, anything from Toyota,
Campbell soups,
Hondas, all that, yeah.
Yeah.
So they were taxing that, and then China, they came back and was like, yo, we're gonna tax y'all back with other tariffs. But back to drop shipping, yeah, low overhead, it's easy to start. Like you find a niche. So I mean, you know, popular right now is, you know, the hair for women. So I mean, if you get to that, that's something. I mean, any niche, there's no limits to it really. You can really, you know, do market research and find what's popular. Start up your website, get a domain.
Do you have any side hustles right now?
So I'm doing the eBay thing myself. So I did a little bit of flipping, and also just shoes that I currently have in my closet. Like I'm just like starting to give away my heat because.
Give away my heat, okay.
Yeah.
Brag a little bit, okay.
Nah, I'm saying because like Monday, Friday, I'm in the suit, and like with y'all, depending on what industry you're gonna work in after college, you know, if you gonna be anything from like a business office setting or I mean most corporate jobs, you know, it's at least business casual. So like your shoes just gonna be sitting in your closet like Monday through Friday. So I got to the point now I'm like, all right, I'm looking at shoes that just collecting dust like the majority of the time. Like, all right, I'm gonna sell them. So that's something.
Yeah, and you can also use offer up as well.
Yeah, offer up. Yeah, you don't want to meet people in person. I mean, y'all on campus, so I'm pretty sure y'all got like 20,000 people like right here in walking distance. Yep. And it's pretty popular with the college kids. Somewhere on campus. Yeah, like. One of my I do a few side hustles. Actually, Corporate Coke Smack is a side hustle for us because we are getting paid for it. We got somebody to, you know, give us some money for some advertisements. You know, so shout out to us. Other than that, I've done a side hustle. I did something where I did like this promotion with this bank where you get a new checking account, they give you $200 if you deposit a certain amount. That's free money. You know, those are side hustles where you might not have it on hand, but think outside the box. You know, like it's money in a lot of places. You know. Yeah, I mean, even when you say side hustles, like you can just say it's a second income. Yeah. You want to simplify it down, yeah, like a second income. So from your main job to.
You got a side hustle?
Yeah.
Selling shirts?
So,
Okay.
it's a,
Okay, advertising stuff, man.
Alright. Well, you got brand.
Oh, wait, hold up. Hold up.
You got it too?
Okay.
So, yeah, over there, I
Okay.
am. So, the I am brand is a self-empowerment brand. Basically, we encourage people to claim who they are because, self-affirmations are really important. It says I am 13 times in the Bible, and really you're just claiming who you are. So, it's different for whoever anybody is. So, like, I am, like, me, like, I am a black student at the University of Delaware, list goes on and on. And so, like, people just claim who they are, post a picture online, you know what I'm saying? And shirts, we have fall lines out, if you need sweatsuits, hoodies, sweatpants, let me know.
That's what's up.
So how'd you come up with like that brand? Was it something like you were just sitting at home one day or?
So my barber actually came with the name. His Instagram name is I am Ali, and then one day we were like talking about like I was like, what do you mean, like why did you do that like that? And he was like saying I'm starting with everything I am, like literally. And so then my partner Derek, he's not here right now. He was like we could start selling shirts and sell them on campus. And I was at barbershop that day too. And I was like, yeah, like we could easily just start selling shirts on campus. And so like we've been selling shirts now for like a month. Last month we probably made like $500 in profit off of just selling shirts.
And one word of advice is, don't let anything stop you. Like, let us be motivation. Because honestly, when we started the podcast, it was just like, okay, we're just gonna have a couple conversations. We posted. A lot of people started liking our stuff. And the one thing we did is we thought that it was something good because we thought about the name and we trademarked the name. And actually, right now we're in this legal case with Coca-Cola, and we sometimes laugh about it because it's like, how are we actually talking to Coca-Cola? Like, lawyers call us and they set up meetings and we yell at them. We're like, nah, we're not doing this. So it's just, anything is possible, and your only barrier is your mindset. Just like a couple individuals were saying, the mentality. If we can just twist our mindset around and just start believing like I can do anything I want. You really can do anything you want. You might fail, but that lesson you might learn, it can help you do the next thing.
And that thing you said about protecting your brand.
Protect your brand. Protect your brand. I'm trying to tell you. Like one thing Coke tried to sell us on, they said, okay, we'll pay you guys a little bit, but you can keep the name. You just have to drop the trademark. And we declined it because it's like, when you think about, okay, you give us a little bit of money, you say, oh, you don't have to change the name, just drop the trademark. Well, if we ever blow up, we're Coke's property, because we just dropped the trademark. And yeah, we might have gotten a little bit of money here, but, the fact that, in the long run, the fact that they even think like this is an issue, it's like, well, they know something we don't know. They think it's more money into this. So we're like, no.
And if you drop the trademark, can they just pick it up?
Yeah, they probably will. They probably will just pick it up. And what they were saying is, you can still carry on, but it's like, we're always going to be looking over our shoulders thinking, okay, if you put out a shirt and that shirt goes crazy, people just buy it, oh, Coca-Cola Smack, this and that. It's like, okay, well, Coke can always come in and say, okay, hey, we got to halt this, and then they could probably do something on the legal side where it's, okay, now we got to pay them back. So whatever side hustle you have, I would say just try and think long term. Now, if you're doing something and you feel as though, it's not really a passion of yours, like we love talking about finance, that's something that was a passion of ours, and we just felt like, yeah, we probably keep this up for a little bit, I don't know, maybe until we get married or something, right?
We need to keep going.
Yeah, I'll tell
Keep
you
going
what.
until we get like a big sponsor.
Yeah, of course. So yeah, we thought about it, it's like, okay, well, let's protect ourselves. But if you're doing something where, I actually drove Uber once and I hated it. People would just get in the car and just start talking to me about this, that. Somebody actually put their hand. I'm like, yo, man, you gotta relax. But that was something where I'm like, I don't see a future in this, So I don't really care about, trying to make this a real bit. It's like doing this for the time being. So in whatever side hustle you have, whether it's photography, and think about photography right now, you have so many vain individuals. And if you can point and shoot with your iPhone, all you have to do is get a professional camera, and you can start making money off of photography. I know friends who, a month ago, they're like, oh yeah, I just bought this camera, and I'm figuring out some things, and next thing they're like, oh yeah, I'm the second shooter in this wedding. And I'm like, how? No, how? Like, how does that work? But it's just like everybody's looking for a deal. Everybody's looking for, like, okay, well, I need to have a photographer here, photographer there, and you could fit into that mix. Like right now, it's just a great time for
If
photography.
anybody need holiday pictures, just hit me up.
Hey.
I'll go lease a camera right quick. And we can
No, and I tell people, I only take pictures for myself. I don't like. I have this camera, and I've been freaking y'all out, but I'm like taking pictures from my phone or whatever. But it's like I don't like taking pictures of other people. People have been like, "Oh yeah," I'm like, "No, I'm good," because that's not what I want to do. Now I have a brand. Like I have my blog, I have corporate smack, I have my company that I'm working on. That's what I want to do. But people have come up to me and said, "Yo, I will give you this," and I'm like, for me, it's just like they hassle you. I've done it once and having people text me like, "Yo, one picture, one picture." I'm like, "Yo, relax, they coming." All right. So yeah, let's move on to the next slide.
So, if you give money, you spending money. So really, something that we, emphasize to be able to track your spending is a budget. And anybody who has access to Microsoft Excel, they can create a spreadsheet that can help them track their money. One of the reasons why people go broke or live beyond their means is because they're not tracking their money. They're spending more than what they're bringing in. When you go and you spend $5 here, $5 there, you think, oh, it's nothing. But then at the end of the week, when you live in paycheck to paycheck, it's not a good feeling. So the inflows, that's the money coming in. The outflows, that's what's going out. Y'all in school right now, but once you graduate and things like that, you're gonna start getting, electrical bill, water bill, and then you're gonna have your rent. And your rent, that's gonna be a set amount every month, and then hopefully your electrical bill, your water bill, that won't fluctuate too much. But you probably have to get your own car insurance, things like that. So you want to budget for all this stuff based on, what salary you're bringing in. If anybody's going to like entrepreneurship, that's a big thing right now. And that's really, something good to be in because you're not relying on a corporate job. See, the thing with a corporate job is, yeah, it's like, it's save money, it's a check every other week, but they can let you go anytime, you can be laid off, fired. So in a sense, it's no real security in a corporate job. I have a corporate job, there's nothing against it, but just breaking it down, people are like, oh, I work, I get my check every 2 weeks. Like, people get laid off all the time. You see in the news all the time, people get laid off. So when you think about the money you're bringing in, and you can lay it out on a spreadsheet, and compare it to, all right, this is the money I'm bringing in, this is the money that's going out. Hopefully you have a surplus at the end of the chart. If you don't, then you probably want to make some adjustments to your spending, to your lifestyle. Going back to the first slide, you may want to cut back on a party, or if you're eating out a lot, like cooking at home, that saves a lot of money. It's much healthier, and it's also necessary to plan for the future when you think about stuff down the road. Now, when you think about budgets, corporations use them to track their revenue and expenses. But for people who go into entrepreneurship, like small businesses, they use it also for their budget. So when you think about, potentially one day if you want to hire staff, because normally most entrepreneurs, they start off by themselves. But there was a stat out that said that I believe 8 out of 10 entrepreneurs are out of business after the first year. And part of the reason for that is they don't budget correctly before going into business. So depending on, what type of business you're going to start, you're going to have to think about, am I going to need machinery, website. A big cost nowadays is, marketing, advertising. Like, you got to get your business out there. Like, you just can't start it and then just tell the people in the front. Like, you got to put it somewhere where a mass amount of people can see it. So that's something to keep in mind. Does anyone have an ambition of starting their own business? What type of business do you want to start?
Couldn't tell you at the moment.
But you want to start something.
I could, yeah.
Okay. Now you got the t-shirt line you're doing right now. What about you?
I do photography on the side, but if it takes off, then I would stick with that.
So right now, are you doing it like locally or?
I'm doing it locally.
Okay.
I've traveled a little bit, like out to Maryland and Philly, but that's pretty much it.
Gotcha.
I'm looking at
you have like experience with the operations and how it goes. Okay, you see like the day-to-day things.
Yeah, and one, oh, go ahead, what were you saying?
I said food makes money.
Oh yeah, yes it does. Yes it does. I've been seeing a lot of like pop up. Like I see some people that I used to know where they do like a food truck, and they just handing out meals, and they could charge like maybe $8 for like the whole course, 3-course meal or something like that. So yeah, food does make money. But one thing I wanted to dispel is the notion that starting a business is too hard. You know, I'm trying to tell you, I started a business when I was in college. It was called Sneaker Thirst. I was selling sneakers. It was really lucrative until like it just went crazy and everybody and their mom was trying to sell sneakers. But
Did Khaled ever call you for some shoes?
the who?
Khaled.
No, Callie did not call me for some shoes. No, but when I started that business, I remember it was just like I was doing it on the side for a long time, and then I said, okay, you know, now I'm gonna do the LLC thing. When I went to get a loan, because I was like, okay, I'm trying to expand, I'm trying to be legitimate. I went to get a $10,000 loan, and they wouldn't give me the loan because I didn't have that much experience. And I'm like, yo, I'm making the money, like you see it here. And they were just like, well, you're a small business, you don't have any assets. I was in college, all I had was like my little hoopty, my Honda Accord. They're like, that ain't gonna do nothing. And if I would have just started the company 2 years earlier, I would have had 3 years experience. That would have probably been enough for me to then get whatever I needed to get, you know, just to say, these ideas that you guys have, you could start your business and I think you could take a loss for either 3 or 4 years and it'll be fine. After that, then you have to call it a hobby. But start the business, even if you're not ready to go, start the business, all it is experience. So now when you come out, it's like, it's a difference saying, hey, I just started my business versus, okay, I have a business and this is my second year. You know, I have 2 years of experience, you know. Nobody's gonna ask you for, okay, what's your sales? It's just telling people you have experience, it speaks volumes. You know, so any idea you guys have to start a sole proprietorship, it is less than $100. I have a sole proprietorship, BTO Consulting. It's a consulting firm where I help out all my friends and any entities that just need any finance and accounting help. I started that out with a sole proprietorship. It cost me $75 to get the business license. It'll be $75 every year. That's nothing. If you want to be an LLC, depending on what state, it can be up to $300 a year. As far as the franchise tax, that's nothing. The only thing you have to do is just do some research. You know, there are different documents you have to file, but I'm telling you, it's definitely possible. Stop putting it off. You have the idea, and when you tell somebody you have experience, it speaks volumes. All right.
So like when you had your financial like reports to show to the bank, like I be doing it through Cash App. So like it kind of just going like it's not.
You can print receipts off Cash App though.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it would just be, in your case, you would have to, you know, print them out. Yeah, I'm pretty sure, because I actually, coming to this, I'm going to write it off of my BTO taxes. And I got a haircut, and instead of paying cash, I paid through Cash App because I knew I'd get the receipt for it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you can get the receipt, you can print them out. Yeah. Yep. All right. So, in conclusion, and that idea that you have, it is definitely possible. You know, you just have to believe in yourself. And I'm trying to tell you, there's so many ideas I've had that I've seen come to life. And I'm just like, dang, I should have stayed in there. I closed up Sneaker Thirst because I got a job at JP Morgan. I was like, yo, they give me a lot of money. Yo, I got 401k now. Like, yo, I might as well like JP Morgan, man. As soon as I closed up shop, I heard about StockX. I was working on this marketplace where you didn't have to meet up with people. It's just all the shoes online. I bet everybody. I heard about StockX, and I'm like, dang, you know, StockX is taking off. Y'all heard of StockX? Yeah, now it's like, they call it the stock exchange for kicks. And I'm like, I don't get no points because I thought about that idea and I didn't do it. It's just, it's gone. And some of you guys probably have those same ideas. And you probably had an idea where you see it going and it's like, yo, I could have. I'm trying to tell you, what's the expense? If I would have gone on my idea and said, okay, let me push it out to the market, the only thing that would have happened is maybe I would have failed. Maybe I would have failed, I would have moved on. You know, but I could have said, okay, I don't have that regret. But now it's like, well, this person's making all this money and I can't even front on it. It's just like, hey, they actually jumped out and did it. So your ideas, they're possible. They're very possible. You're the only person standing in your way. That's the first conclusion. Second conclusion, savings for needs is much more important than spending on wants. You know, and I think before we can even go into that, is like you need to delineate what's your needs and what are your wants. You know, so get a little T-chart, open the notes app on your phone. Say, okay, what do I really need? What do I really want? You got to take care of your needs, okay? And then if you also have to just be humble with yourself, okay? You do not need a haircut every week. All right, I don't know what you're parading around for, you know. I mean, hey, if your hair grows like that, then maybe, you know. or maybe you need to get like a personal little shave. Because what I do is I go to the barber, and then if I went last week, I'm like, you know what? I have my clippers. I can just take a little bit here and there. Don't go too crazy on yourself. You don't want to mess that up. But yeah, evaluate.
You only get one hairline.
You only get one hairline. Unless you're Safari, because you can buy them. But almost to say, just be humble with your needs. You know, just really ask them, do I actually need this? And then with your wants, we're not asking you to live a bland life. You know, like with your wants, you just have to say, okay, you know what? I gotta make some sacrifices. If I want to buy this, if I want to buy shoes, if I want to buy liquor, if I want to go to parties, it's like, okay, maybe I need to start off and just pick one. You know, and say, okay, you know what? That's gonna be the thing that I'm gonna have, you know, as the want that I can do. You know, it's like a cheat meal when you're working out. You know, you get that cheat meal, go through your wants, cut some of your wants out, because you don't need to cut some of them out and keep cutting.
Like at the end of the day, like if you miss a party, like you're not gonna die. You know what I'm saying?
Like for me, one of my wants was gaming. Like I love to get, I used to play 2K I had a medal. They actually gave me a medal. Like it was so bad. I used to play 2K. I used to call out of work. I used to lie to my girl. She would think I'm cheating. I'm like, no, I'm playing video games. Like it was real. And for me, it's like, okay, they come out with this every year. It's $59.99. And then if I need another system, because sometimes systems mess up or whatever, it's like I was putting a lot of money into it. And I just told myself, yo, I gotta cut that out. Now I go to my man's house and play if I need to play. And then he started kicking me out, so it's like, nah, I don't even play anymore. You know, but that was something where it's like, do I really need that? It was a want of mine, but it's like, that money that I was spending, it's an end of time. Because a lot of people, when you think about wants, you might think, okay, well, it's just expensive. Well, it's more expensive when you're putting so much time into it. I had to play a season for some stupid reason. I had to see my player develop from this to that. It was ridiculous, you know. Second thing, tracking your money will allow you to make better money choices. I think that's self-explanatory, you know. I think when you start to track your money, like y'all ever look through your bank account and seen how many times you did Uber Eats or how many times you got that Uber, how many times you spent money? It's like when you start to actually look at it, you be like, wow, man, that's really what I do. You start to understand the beast that you are, you know. So tracking your money will definitely help you make better choices. It's when you just blindly spend your money. You gotta think about how do athletes and rich people go broke? I don't think they're getting the reports every day that say, yo, you spent $30,000 at Live in Miami or whatever. They're just spending this money, and at the end, they're getting the big report that's like, oh, you don't have any money, and this is what you did, and by that time, it's too late. Every person wearing Louis V and Gucci is not rich. You know, I think there's a big, like right now on social media, I know there's a lot of clothes sharing going on. You know, like it's probably like a, hey, you buy this, I buy that, and then we swap here and there.
There was a report that just came out that said that a lot of people are buying clothes, taking photos, and then returning them. That's like the new fad. That's the new fad, yeah.
I believe
buying clothes, taking pictures of them, and then returning them. Tuck the tag, I guess I don't really know.
I really believe it.
They're trying to create this online persona that's not them, like it's a facade.
Yeah, everybody's trying to uphold this image.
And just think, all right, so for people who are buying the Louis Vuitton and Gucci, like when you buy that stuff, that's money going out your pockets. So that's less money you have now. See what I'm saying? So like when you go around and you see the rappers and they got new Gucci outfits every week, it's like, yo, this lifestyle isn't sustainable realistically.
And you gotta think of it as, yo, that is the worst type of asset, because it depreciates so fast. If I walk around here with the Gucci print with just the G's, you're like, no, that's old. That's like the 90s, okay? Nobody is checking for the Gucci with the double G's or the Gucci belt with the double G's. And it's like, where's the Tiger at? Where is the new
snake
stuff?
joint, they got a
You
snake
know,
joint.
so you're making these investments and you know they're not gonna last that long. And when I say not last, they're not gonna last that long is you probably have like a year's shelf life. You know, you buy something that's popping right now, and after the next year it's like, okay, nobody's checking for that, you know? So if you're looking for that feeling of like, oh yeah, everybody thinks I'm new and I'm fresh, now you gotta dig into your savings. Now you have to use that credit card. Now you have to take out a student loan and use some of those funds for your license.
Yeah, like the sooner you got that mind state, the better off you'll be. Like, you know, in high school, it was the whole popularity thing. It might still be present a little bit in college, but once you get out of college, like the whole popularity thing, it goes out the window, honestly.
And you said it's the sooner you get out of that mentality. The biggest reason people get divorced is because of money. You know, and you have a lot of men and women who are raised and they don't understand how to control their finances. So now you telling me, oh, I know how to control my finances, but my wife is she's just broken as far as her finances. It's like, of course we're gonna butt heads, you know, and then vice versa. You know, it's the same way with the man. You know, you have a woman who maybe she's more stable than the guy. He's just like he doesn't understand anything. Of course, so it affects you in so many different ways. You know, from a family level to just an individual level. Last thing we want to talk about is your money working for you outweighs you working for your money. If you are working for your money, honestly, you're gonna have headaches. You're gonna have headaches. You know, your money. You want your money to work for you. You want to sit your money down, and your money should then say, okay, you know what? I'm gonna earn something for you. I'm gonna do something for you. You know, and it's also just about working smart. You know, and not exhausting yourself. Everybody now, I think it's really popular. It's really popular to talk about like your mental health. You know, when you're just so worried about money and so worried about just working for your money and not having a means of like setting up something, whether it's some type of perpetuity or some type of savings bond or maybe your money's in the stock market and it's not working for you, it's tiring on your mental, man.
So just to piggyback off what he was saying, so just think about it. If you have a job, you get paid hourly. It's only so many hours in the day that you can work.
Yeah.
So essentially, it's a cap on any job where you're working, you're trading your time for money. Versus if you're, you know, selling a service, selling a product, you can set that price. So that's where we were saying how the stock market, that's one way that can help grow your money, or, you know, if you pick up an interest in real estate investing, whether you're flipping homes or you're buying them and then renting them out for cash flow every month. You know, those are ways to grow your money without you having to actively work. You know, when they say, you know, making money in your sleep, that's essentially what you're doing. So you're never going to be able to, I mean, you know, there are certain careers, of course, you know, you got entertainment, athletes that have, you know, high compensation jobs. But outside of the top 2 or 3%, you know, this type of high earning incomes, most people, you can't work enough to actually build up, you know, to millionaire or multi-millionaire status. There's just not enough time in life.
Yeah, and I want you to think about one thing we can leave them with. I already thought about this while you were talking, but there's one thing to leave them with. It could be any piece of advice. My advice to everybody in this room is, it is a lot more fun to stunt on your friends when you're older than it is now. You know, because I don't know about you, but not like I like to gloat or anything, but you know, you see people where, you know, like in high school, they were the freshest person, they were, you know, always in the mix, and they always had, you know, they had the car, they had this and that. And now, like I said, I'm still humble, you know, I'm a humble man. But you just see certain things, you know, you see certain freedoms, man. I can go on vacation and I can, you know, I mean, I could probably take like a month off for it. I don't need to have, like, if I lose my job, I'm not going to be like just drowning in so much debt, you know, because I have some mechanisms in place. You know, I can open my computer and see that, okay, well, you know, I have quite a bit of money saved up for my retirement. If I need to tap into that, that's there. That counts towards my net worth. So now, as I'm older, and honestly, it doesn't even stop here. I want to get to a point where I'm an OG. Like, I'm trying to get to like 45 and just see where everybody at. Like, hey, y'all good over there? I'm good. I'm good. You know, it's the sacrifices you're making now. You know, you might see people around and it's like, yeah, like they're getting the money, they're spending the money, they're doing this, they're doing that. But having that patience and just waiting for your time, because you're gonna have the time where buying a car is not gonna be such a crazy decision. You know, right now you wanna buy a car, it's like, okay, you know, I gotta go 96 months on this term. You know, I think I saw you say something about a 96 month, car loan or something like that. You know,
8 years.
those are the things where it's like, now it's like, yo, you really gotta think about it, but you'll get to a spot in your lives by making the right decisions where it's like, okay, do I wanna pay for this cash or do I wanna take advantage of this financing offer right here? You know, and those are the things you wanna have, those are the options you wanna have versus, oh man, I need to stretch this out a little bit more so I can lower my monthly payment and whatnot. So that was my tip, you know, it's a lot more fun to just wait and just have that gratification later. What about you?
I would just say a takeaway is to focus on obtaining appreciating assets versus depreciating assets. So some depreciating assets are, you know, your clothes and your cars. Appreciating assets like stocks and real estate. The reason I say that because that's going to differentiate, you know, the people who are actually growing their money and the people who are actually staying in the same situation or essentially becoming quote unquote poor. Also, another tip I would say is to, and this deals with the your psyche, is to get out of the habit of like comparing yourself to anybody. Like that's the quickest way to go broke or to lose like that sense of self-esteem. So, you know, like if you're on Instagram, you know, all these social media platforms, you see people in certain situations. Like a lot of stuff that you see is not as sweet as it seems. Like you see people, you know, like I said, people taking all these pics, like it could be buying clothes, taking them back. You can go to Miami, you can rent, you know, you can rent a Rolls Royce, you can rent a Ferrari, you can rent all that stuff.
Yeah.
So there's ways that you can create a different picture of your life than what's really going on in it. And that's why I tell people all the time, like, people come like, oh yeah, you see so-and-so doing that. I'm like, I don't know if it's theirs or not, but I know one thing, it's not out of my pockets. You know what I'm saying? Like, no matter what's, you know, unless you're a business partner or something, you know, good for them, but how does it help you? You know, so that's just something that I'm big on when you know, thinking about the psychological aspect of it, not just the money.
Yeah, no, and with that, I want to thank you guys for your time. Now, we do have a platform, Corporate Cope and Smack. You guys should check that out. Like I said, we do give out a lot of tips about wealth, you know, but it's something where it's just like a general conversation. You can find us on SoundCloud, Corporate Cope and Smack, and you can also find us on the Apple podcast platform. The same name, Corporate Cope and Smack. We're on IG, CC Smack Podcast. My tag on IG is Long Live Toby. I also have a blog, it's longlivetoby.com. I just give advice on life and places that I've gone on. And anything you want to plug?
Josh D Lifestyle, that's my Instagram and Twitter. Holla at me if you got any questions. You know what I'm saying? I'm an easy going person. Talk to Russ quite a bit, you know, we share ideas, you know, if you got questions about anything with the stocks and everything.
Yeah, hey, little tidbit. If you guys follow us, when we get that coat payout, we're gonna break y'all off. You know, to get that coat payout. I'm joking. But yeah, thank you guys for your time. Thank you guys for your time.